Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lucha Rewatch Season 3, Episode 7. On today's episode, we are covering Lucha Underground Season 3, Episodes 13 and 14. And John, you and I watched these episodes. I want to know how you're feeling about them.
Brother, these episodes were fantastic. I mean, for the one, obviously, which I believe was called The Breaker of Bones, you know, it was the Gauntlet. It
was the Breaker of Bones and the Bulls of Boyle Heights.
Yeah, and you know, you figure with the Breaker of Bones, it was the Gauntlet match. It was Pentagon Dark versus the Black Lotus Triad. And, you know, I love that they really did treat the Gauntlet as, you know, 3 distinct matches, which is the usual Lucha Underground format, peppered in with a cinematic or 2. So I thought that structure was great. And then episode 14, you've got the Battle of the Bulls tournament, and you've got goings on with Sexy Star wanting to get back in the title picture, and more stuff, you know, with Cobra Moon and Matanza. So yeah, these were 2 really great episodes. So very quickly, I'd like to know what you thought, like an overview of these 2 episodes on your end, and then we can just get right into this.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, as far as these 2 episodes go, I really did especially enjoy episode 13, and I took very extensive notes on both, but I definitely felt myself getting more invested in the Black Lotus Triad Gauntlet match. So that is definitely going to be where I do my most talking. So I'm hoping that you can pick up the slack a little bit for episode 14, because I did watch it, but I felt a little bit more like I was zoning out and kind of maybe even multitasking while I was watching that episode. So we're going to kind of have to cover each other's backs on that.
That's fine. I'll do the best I can. I have to admit, to a degree, I was the same as you, but we'll be fine. We're fucking TWitWoW, baby. We got this. So let's get into episode 13 here, The Breaker of Bones. We, of course, get our usual recap of, like, you know, what's happened on Lucha Underground and what's going to be the focal point of the night. And then we go into a Vampiro and Pentagon Dark cinematic, you know, where Vampiro more or less tells Pentagon Dark, you know, sooner or later, you're going to pay for your sins. Even if it's not tonight, you know, they're going to catch up to you eventually. And Pentagon Dark, of course, you know, zero fear. He's not really paying any mind to that. But again, it just kind of plays to the conscious, or conflicting, I should say, relationship between Vampiro and Pentagon Dark. I'm so excited to talk about this episode, I can't even speak. So yeah, I mean, these guys, there's the tension there, and it's just really kind of playing to that. And Vampiro just always giving that sly nod, like, you know, something's going to happen to you. You know, you better be prepared for it. So what do you think about this cinematic?
Oh yeah, this cinematic was fine. I really just enjoy kind of I don't know, like the feeling that, like, you know, Pentagon could just break Vampiro's arm at any given moment. So there's kind of an underlying tension in every segment we see with them, even when it's not necessarily violent, just because there's always going to be that, like, underlying, holy shit, these guys actually hate each other now kind of thing. So that
yeah.
But I was also, like, I was trying to pay attention for any hints maybe that these guys are still in league with each other. And I guess the only real hint that we got was just that they're still communicating, even though you would expect them to be at each other's throats at any chance they get.
Exactly. You know, and I was like you know, like throughout the Gauntlet match and, you know, the cinematic, I was combing through and, like, does he say anything to show that him and Pentagon are still good? And he does share one story that, you know, maybe that's the case, which we'll get into that a little later. I don't even know if I remember it correctly, to be honest. But yeah, this cinematic was great. Really set a great tone. But of course, now it's time, I think, to get into the meat of the sandwich, the Gauntlet match. And we start with Pentagon Dark versus Doku. That was the first matchup. And of course, we know
AKA
my heart, Kairi Sane. Oh god, no, this is not Johnny Goodfellow time, god damn it. But yeah, Pentagon Dark versus Doku. You said you had quite a bit to say about this match because you were more mindful of this. You were really attentive to this. So I'm gonna have you go first for a lot of these. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I absolutely loved this Gauntlet, watching it the second time around, and I'm sure I enjoyed it the first time around, but unfortunately we weren't able to live react to it. That really kind of sucked, because this would have been an amazing live reaction for us to be able to do. I don't even remember why we couldn't live react to this. It might have been one of those nights where, like, we had internet problems or something like that. I don't know for sure, but regardless, actually, you know what? I think it was when YouTube was having the problem with Hangouts where we couldn't get, like, a background and shit.
Right, yeah.
I think that's what it was. But yeah, we couldn't live react to this, which is really unfortunate because it was an awesome episode. As far as Pentagon versus Doku, I do have a negative thing to say about this, but it has nothing to do with either of the performers. It's about Stryker because he says something about when Pentagon comes out, he says something about like, oh, Pentagon really rides the line between being beloved by the fans and loathed. And I'm just thinking like, no, he doesn't. Everyone loves this guy.
Yeah, Stryker had two moments in the gauntlet that really made me groan. This being one, and like where I guess I kind of sympathize with him. Of course, he dug his own hole. Is that when you're on a program, right, and you say something, unless you're corrected and you can quickly like redact it, but it was a very awkward thing he said because he was talking more about fan response. You've got to make your case. And then when he said, "Oh, you know, when they do the Sarah Mieto, like, it's almost like they're challenging Pentagon, taunting him," and I'm like, "That's really a reach, dude. Did you fracture your arm with that reach?" Like, you know. So it was a bit of awkward commentary, but it's whatever. I gotta say too, on a more general note about the gauntlet match, I love that each match seemed to get like a little bit longer in length because this interaction between Doku and Pentagon Dark really didn't seem to go that long. And really the biggest highlight was we did get to see Doku's elbow, which is gorgeous, like she is. And then she goes for it again though, and of course he gets like the arm trap, and he breaks his first arm. But yeah, it was a nice exchange. And then, do you have anything you want to say about this match though before we just go right into the next thing?
No, I'm good, man. We can go right in.
All right. Well, we're not going to get to Ure right away because we do have a cinematic between Jeremiah and Katrina. That's why I said what was so great about this episode is you had a match, you got a little breather with a cinematic, so things kept moving, but you at least got to be like, okay, I'm ready for the next part of the gauntlet. And Jeremiah and Katrina, what this essentially amounts to is, you know, Katrina has beef with Evilise. We know that Jeremiah is dating Evilise, but Katrina kind of taunts Jeremiah. You know, I know what you came back for. You came back for me, essentially saying you don't really love Evilise. The only problem with that is I'm in love with someone else. And she mentions, you know, a piece of like of jewelry like he wears around his neck to show that he still thinks of Katrina and that they still have that bond. And then she just kind of throws in his face, I'm in love with someone else. My heart belongs to another. And, you know, then she leaves and you can see Jeremiah's like having to regather himself because that was very emotionally intense for him. So what do you think about this interaction between these two?
This was really interesting, actually. I didn't remember the thing about him having a piece of her stone that he stole around his neck. I didn't remember that part when we rewatched this. I didn't realize, like, oh my God, that's actually a deal, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I blanked on it as well. I'm actually surprised it didn't have more narrative significance beyond this one interaction, at least that I can't, you know, recollect. You know, but yeah, she does mention that, and I think it's a great indicator of like where they are. And you already set up to me so much history just in that one little interaction, which is what I love about Lucha Underground. They really know how to maximize their segments. And so we go from that to Pentagon Dark versus Ure. And I feel like this is always the one that kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit when I think about the gauntlet. Because, you know, with Doku, even though it was short, you get the elbow drop. And then Hitokiri, I mean, that was just epic, which we'll get to in a few moments. But what did you think about Pentagon Dark versus Ure here?
This was a really fun match. It's funny because, like, in hindsight, for some reason, I feel like I remember liking Doku more than Ure, but watching it this time around, I definitely feel like the matches just kind of got better with like each successive match. So I thought Doku was probably the worst of the three, and then Ure was a step up from that. And Hitokiri, like, holy shit, we have so much to talk about there. But
absolutely,
I love Ure in this, and it's funny because after all this stuff happened, we got Kyrie and Io both trying to get into WWE. Io apparently failed a physical, so she's back in Stardom now, which is unfortunate for her in WWE, but great for Stardom and possibly Lucha Underground because she made the biggest splash. But the reason I say that is because while she was, you know, gone from Stardom trying to get into WWE and doing the physical and stuff, Mayu Iwatani, who plays Ure here, basically became the ace of Stardom. Like, she's a huge deal in Stardom now.
good for her, honestly, because like her performance here I thought was great, and that sequence between her and Pentagon Dark to end her portion of the gauntlet, where she goes almost like for that cannonball move, but got caught into the fear factor, and then another arm break. I thought that was a breathtaking sequence. Even watching it again, I'm like, damn, because then he bounces off the ropes and then he drives her into the canvas with the fear factor. I'm like, everything about that was perfect, which is yet another reason why we really got robbed not being able to do live reactions to this, because I would have popped big for that shit, and I think you would have too. Like it was a sick spot. And yeah, Yurei did great stuff for the time she was given. I remember her doing a moonsault at one point that I thought looked gorgeous. Like she looked great in there. So to know that she's become the ace of stardom, that's great. And as far as Io Shirai is concerned, we're going to talk about in just a few moments. It's a shame for WWE because they've lost out on arguably the best women's wrestler in the world right now. Because she is just, oh my God, on another level entirely. But before we get to that, let's. Do you have anything else you want to say about Ure, by the way?
I like that she really did the lucha stuff along with Pentagon, because obviously Pentagon comes from that lucha libre style and that heritage. He originates in Mexico and all that stuff. So I appreciate that Yure was able to really keep up with him on the lucha libre style with like the arm drags and the hurricane ranas and all that fun stuff. And then like she got really physical with him too. Like she took him out to the outside, she slammed him into the wall, all that stuff. The one downside to really the only part of this entire match that kind of took me out of it, when she got the ring bell, like it looked like she was not even trying to hurt him with it. Like she just kind of like set it on him and then pulled it away. You know what I mean?
That was a bit of awkward work. I agree. I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was like the camera or the performers or what, but like, yeah, that bit was a bit like disjointed to me. I think this is also the segment of the gauntlet, correct me if I'm wrong, where Pentagon also like worked over the leg a little bit rather than the arm, which I like that touch because it showed that it's not really about psychology for him as much as it is just about being sadistic. It's sadism, and he loves like any way he can inflict pain, he's gonna do it. And then again, that final sequence of catching the cannonball, fear factor off the ropes, break the arm, just perfection. So yeah, Pentagon, it's 2 down. And then we go to a Dario and Matanza cinematic where Dario's trying to get Matanza, pumped up like, oh, you can challenge for the Lucha Underground Championship next week. Mundo would be nothing to you, which I take offense to that, Dario. And Matanza's just like, no, I want Mysterio. And so we know like Rey Mysterio is his focus. Dario just seems like perplexed, but he's like, fine, you'll get Rey as soon as he recovers from the injuries that you incurred upon him. So you can definitely see the tension in that relationship because Dario still wants Matanza to be that symbol of dominance. But this is the first time that we really see in the Matanza character him going into business for himself. Like, I have this desire, I have this end, I want to destroy this man. That's what I want. And then I believe this was the part, because I know that Dario and Matanza have another cinematic together in the following episode, but I believe this was the one where the camera pans to the wall of Matanza's cell and we see the question mark in Matanza's blood because he's been beating the wall that hard, which again is just a breathtaking visual in the most horrifying way. What do you think about this, Ashton?
Yeah, this segment was really freaking cool because this was also, if I remember correctly, this is the first time we've ever heard Matanza speak. He's
Yeah.
the wall punching, and Cueto's just like, oh, good, you're ready because next week you get to win back your title. And Matanza, for the first time ever, speaks. He says no, and then Cueto's just like, wait, what? Mundo's yours for the taking. It'll be like taking candy from a baby. He's such an easy target. And then Matanza cuts his ass off like, no. And then yeah, Cueto's like, okay, well, if you don't want Mundo, who do you want? Mysterio. And that's when they show the question mark on the wall.
Just great work all around. I love, again, because we know that Matanza, we can speak about all this openly, is Jeff Cobb on the indies the same way that Prince Puma, was Ricochet. And now who knows who the next Prince Puma is going to be, if there's a next Prince Puma. And I love that guys that you wouldn't really associate with talking or character work, like you give them this persona, you give them this mask, and it's just, they get so comfortable and so relaxed, and it shows. And they're really able to do stuff that make them just some of the best characters, not just in Lucha Underground's canon, but really in my time as a wrestling fan. Like it's just amazing to see. And yeah, him like doing the question mark in his own blood, just eerie as fuck, man. But we go from something that isn't eerie as fuck, but exhilarating as fuck. Pentagon versus Hitokiri. Brother, the floor is yours. Because I remember when we first did the TWitWoW episode of this, you couldn't praise this enough. And I'm guessing you loved it just as much, maybe even more, watching it this time around. So I'm going to give this to you. What did you think about Hitokiri versus Pentagon Dark?
Dude, I loved this match so much. I had 13 lines of notes for this match. Now, most matches, I've got like 1 to 5 for the most part. I would say the majority of my matches are 3 or 4 lines long. This match, 13 lines. That's how into this and how sort of into the idea of getting every big detail down I was. So, yeah, basically at the beginning of this match, Vamp went out of his way to really put, I want to call her Io, but Hitokiri over. He says this is by far going to be Pentagon's biggest challenge he's had yet. And great, too, because she snuck into the ring and got behind Pentagon to attack him from behind and, you know, get like the sneak attack. So it was awesome. But then once we got the match started, we got a huge triangle moonsault from her because, I mean, she started with the missile drop kick off the top rope. Then she did a triangle moonsault, which immediately got her over with the crowd, which I love that she did that in 2 moves. Then she did a great tope suicida, not quite as good as like you would expect from like a King Cuerno, but still better than I would say 90% of the dudes that we see do tope suicidas.
Yeah.
Immediately goes for a chair from under the ring and just goes to town with it. She slams this chair into Pentagon countless times, uses it like crazy, puts it really just, you know, wears the damn thing out on his back. Then she lifts up the mat on the outside of the ring, kicks Pentagon in the thigh, and then does a scoop slam onto him, onto the exposed floor. So basically bringing back kind of a throwback to what he did to Vampiro in Ultima Lucha in the Cero Miedo match, right? Right. So then they get back into the ring and she makes the mistake that you should never make, Pentagon, which is going for a handspring move while he's conscious. Because she get drop kicked right in the stomach. And that move always looks so freaking brutal because it's like not only are you getting drop kicked into the stomach while you're completely exposed, but then you lose all momentum and you fall head first onto the mat too. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So then he kind of picks up a little bit of an advantage. And I love too that it's like the first time he had an advantage in the match and he started taunting her. Like he was throwing these like little weak ass toe kicks, almost as if to say, oh yeah, I can just play with my food here. And then he hits her with this big like shoot style kick to the back of the head, slaps her in the chest. Then he kicks her right in the face. And Matt Striker even says, that kick was right in the face. But then he takes her to the outside and just tosses her into the seats, which I've seen a lot of people take that spot. I don't think I've seen any females take that spot. Maybe Evilise once before. And then he gets this like cord from basically it had to be like a camera and he whips her with it, but he's not done there because then he chokes her with it too and basically hangs her on the ring post. So Pentagon is going over the top violent here. And then he tries to whip her into like a set up chair. And she does a drop toe hold and just sends him right into it. Oh, and before that, he also exposes the floor himself and does a Death Valley driver on her onto the floor. And then she does the drop toe hold onto the chair, picks up the advantage, and then she heads up to the temple steps. And she becomes the first female ever to dive off of Cueto's office. So again, just she's incredible, man. Like, this was really a time when Io Shirai, which is who is Hitokiri in Lucha Underground, was the best female wrestler in the world. And I'd be hard-pressed to see anyone's beaten her out for that role yet. I still think she's up there.
Dude,
she does this huge dive off the top. And really, even if you just watch the dive, like it was shot at the like this perfect angle, just that showed you how ridiculously graceful this woman is. Because like the way she jumps, it's like normally like with Drago and anytime most people do anything off of Cueto's office, they just kind of fall from it. She did not just fall. She jumped.
Yeah.
Like she got some air, man.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she landed on Pentagon, crossbody style. And then, she got back into the ring, and when they both got back into the ring, Pentagon tried to hit her with a fear factor, which is how he beat Yurei, because she kind of went for like a cannonball and he caught her out of that. But she reversed it into a flip pile driver and won the damn match. I loved this. I love Hitokiri. I want her back more than anything. And yeah, I'm just ecstatic about everything.
You gave the most comprehensive review of that match. Like I got nothing. You know, because I really, for me, it's more just the general point of I love this match, I love this concept, and again, what I loved about the structure of this is, and you said it earlier in the review, the matches got progressively better, and Hitokiri was the crescendo, and I love that, and they gave her everything. And I gotta say, what I love about Lucha Underground and the culture they've kind of cultivated with the whole intergender wrestling is that you've got these guys that are, are willing to hit hard. And that's what I loved about, Pentagon working. Like, wasn't like Phoenix, doing all that stuff. Like, he went hard. He was very selfless in the match. Like, oh yeah, let's do all the things. And it made Hitokiri look like $1,000,000 to me. And really the only other note I have to I have to contribute, because I mentioned earlier that I too, like you, was looking for clues about Vampiro and Pentagon Dark's relationship, was the bit of commentary when he tells the story about the Buddha and I guess like the samurai or
The
whatever.
monk and the samurai, yeah.
Yeah, the monk and the samurai. And he drew his sword and he said that is hell, but when he lays it down, that's heaven. The idea that Vampiro, excuse me, talked about there being a heaven, because I could understand talking about the hell with Pentagon. Pentagon's drawing his sword at everybody, but the idea that he said like, oh, this is kind of heaven. I'm like, I wonder if Pentagon could still get back there, and that's what Vampiro's saying. Like, I wonder if he's like, Pentagon's just going through these trials because it has a greater end. So I found that bit of commentary very interesting, and also because I adore Vampiro, because I know we've kind of taken the piss out of Stryker a little bit, but I think for every time we take the piss out of Stryker, we should always kind of give kudos to Vampiro because he's wonderful. I love, and this is just because I'm perverse too, I guess, I love how sexually aroused he got watching this. Like, there were bits of
That was
commentary that
really
were,
when he saw her slamming Pentagon's face into the guardrail.
yeah, literally some sound bites from Vampiro were just, oh yeah, oh yeah, like, dude, what is going on in your pants right now? And please keep it there, please. But it was amazing. It was amazing to be, and he really did such a convincing and an excellent job of convincing us, like, yeah, I am so into this shit right now. And I gotta tell you, to me, Vampiro was the third man in this gauntlet. And he was definitely one of the stars of this whole thing, because just the history between him and Pentagon, I think he had to bring this kind of game to the announce desk, and he did. And I thought his commentary definitely enhanced the whole experience. Again, and to your point that you said at the very beginning, really did a great job of putting Hitokiri over. And yeah, this was just an exemplary piece of wrestling. I adore it. I still think, honestly, episodes in Lucha Underground's entire canon, if for no other reason because of this one match, because it's that good.
Oh no, yeah, I was
So
even gonna say, like, I won't say that this is one of the best episodes in Lucha Underground ever, but I will say that Hitokiri versus Pentagon is one of the best single matches in Lucha Underground ever.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, dude, absolutely. After that, of course, we get the big moment of the night. Black Lotus comes out, because I don't think there were any cinematics after this. No cinematics after this. They come back.
Well,
Black Lotus comes
technically
out.
there was a cinematic after this. It just wasn't before Black Lotus showed up.
Oh wait, so what am I forgetting then? Or are you just saying, like, because I already talked about, because I thought I took extensive notes. Did I forget something?
No, John. After everything else, we get a cinematic.
But no, you're losing me here. Like, what do you mean, like, after everything else? Like, I'm just,
After all of the arm breaking happens, we get another cinematic.
which was
Church of Vampiro resurrecting Puma.
that happened here? I didn't see that when I
Yes.
watched it again.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, yeah, see that I was kind of getting frustrated there for a second. Wow, I totally missed that. Cuz yeah, I went on rewatching it. I don't know how I missed that, but all right. Well, then I'll say before that, Black Lotus comes out, Marty Elias gets taken out. So clearly we're not going to get a match here. And Black Lotus breaks Pentagon Dark's one arm.
Do you know though? Did you notice though when she got to the ring, there was like a resounding "break his arm" chant from the crowd?
Yeah, they are savage. I love the Believers, man. They don't give one fuck.
So she gets him in a position and does the arm break, and then she kind of steps over him and actually stomps on him while stepping over him. And then Azteca shows up, top of the steps, and he gets down to the ring. And when he gets in the ring, Black Lotus calls off the triad and they leave. And then Azteca steps on Pentagon's newly broken arm so that he can grab the other one, scream, "This is my vengeance," and break Pentagon's other arm. So now Pentagon is just dealing with two broken arms.
Yeah, that is just, God, what a rough night. But yeah, Pentagon Dark, all that suffering. You can't say that he didn't have it coming, which is what I love. Like, the fans wanted it, and to be honest, like, I kind of wanted it too, because I'm just like, just desserts and all that shit. Right. So yeah, both arms broken, and then apparently after this, we got, Puma being resurrected, which again, I don't know how I missed that, but so I'm gonna have you take the floor on this one.
Well, you just see Puma, and then his eyes open, and you see Vampiro, and he says, "Come with me."
Yeah, and I guess that's all there is to it. So yeah, Puma gets resurrected, and Pentagon gets his arms broken. So it's almost like when Pentagon Dark hits rock bottom, Puma begins his ascent again. So again, we see
that's such a good observation. I did not catch that, but you're right.
Yeah. It's so crazy that the relationship between these two all season, this was yet another little nod. We see Pentagon, he's at his lowest ebb, and now Puma's ready to begin his ascent after already hitting his. So I love that, and they mirror that. That's great. And really, I wouldn't have made that observation if you didn't remind me that this even happened, which again, I'm still kind of scratching my head how I committed that oversight. But regardless, we go from that to episode 14.
Right, where we get, the big complicated recap of the Worldwide Underground and Cueto and Aztec Warfare and Angelico and the Best of 5 series, and of course, the most recent and important bit of news, Johnny Mundo winning the Lucha Underground Championship.
That really was like the most important news to come out of this season for sure. So we get the recap. Dario's in his office, and we get Angelico coming in, and he said, I want Mundo tonight. And, Dario reminds him, well, with the agent / lawyer, my hands are pretty much tied. And Angelico, understandably, gets very mad at this because Mundo's tried ending his career now. And, Dario's like, oh, he could sue it. It's not my fault what happened to you. And, because Angelico's like, well, maybe, I'll lawyer up too. I did get hurt on your premises, working for you. And Dario, he hears the word lawsuit and he's like, wait a minute, slow down. He's like, look, what happened to me, what happened to you wasn't my fault. Wasn't Lucha Underground's fault. And so Angelico kind of takes a step back. He breathes in. He's like, you know what? You're right. It wasn't your fault. And then he extends his hand out. And then Dario takes it, but then he kind of slams it down and he gets real close and he says, but it is going to be your fault when I give you the fall of the angels through your desk if you do not give me Johnny Mundo. And he's like, oh, you know what? All right, Angelico. All right. I'll give you an opportunity. You're in my Battle of the Bulls tournament. And he's like, oh, what's this tournament? And he said, well, look, if you win, right, you get a shot at Johnny Mundo for the Lucha Underground Championship. And Angelico had come in originally and said, I want Johnny Mundo. I don't care if it's for the title or not, which I like that Angelico said that because it showed that, like, yeah, the title's nice. The title's important. But for me, my livelihood was almost taken away from me. I want my pound of flesh. I love that. So Dario's like, win, you get Mundo, and you get a Lucha Underground Championship match. So Angelico's like, all right, I'll win your Battle of the Bulls tournament. And when I'm through, Johnny Mundo isn't going to need a lawyer. He's going to need an undertaker. And he closes the door. So really, and this is one of the reasons why I hate that Angelico would get injured later, because we all know that, like, when I'm in it and I'm just, fandoming out and geeking out, I'm pro Mundo all day, every day. But, in spaces like this where I'm more objective, like, I really enjoyed Angelico's work here. I enjoyed his intensity. I enjoyed his seriousness. That line, like, Mundo will need an undertaker, like, that was cool as hell. And yeah, it just really shows me that he had so much promise. And I think he still does, obviously. But, if he had been healthy and done this feud, I really think this could have elevated him to the main event, which I think he would have just felt so natural there. So I'm hoping we can get him back there again. And yeah, I just really appreciated the cinematic.
Absolutely, yeah. The cinematic really showed some fire from Helico. Well, I feel like we needed that because I feel like on Helico has always kind of been perceived as more of a soft character. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, well, dude, I'm so glad you mentioned that because like this brings to mind something else that I was kind of thinking about with this cinematic. It was a great tone shifter for the character because I mean, let's think about what he was before this. He was a part of Team Havoc, but he was that guy that's like, oh well, I really can't stand Son of Havoc, and you know, me hitting on Evilise has been unsuccessful. So to see him in a more serious context, ain't about hitting on women, ain't about being a player or suave or any of that crap. It's hey, this guy slammed my leg into a car door over and over, or slammed a car door into my leg, I should say. He tried crippling me. He tried ending my career. I want my pound of flesh. And he really let you know that again with just little things like, I don't care if it's for the title. You know, he was even going to go as far as hurting Dario Cueto severely. And like, I feel like he did everything right here. And again, that's why it was so tragic. We didn't get the feud this season, but I guarantee you, it's going to be one of the bright spots that we talk about for Lucha Underground season 4 is the Mundo on Helico feud because I am hyped as fuck for that shit. So great
Absolutely.
cinematic here. So we can move right along to our first Battle of the Bulls matchup. Cage.
Yes.
Yep.
This is
Cage.
going to be the one that you're going to have to carry a little bit, man, because this is one that I barely paid attention to. I caught all the introductions, I caught who was in it, and I caught who won, but I paid little to no attention to the match itself.
And you know what? I mean, that's fine. I really don't have much to say about it myself, if I'm being truthful. I will reiterate what I said on our original viewing, because I remember saying it on the original viewing. I thought Dr. Widener Jr. looked great in this. He got a DDT on Cage that I thought was hella impressive, and he seemed to be going after everybody at one point, which I thought was great. Joey Ryan, I feel like it's been a while since I've said this in a TWitWoW context, so I just want to say it again. I fucking love douchebags. I love douchebags. I love sleazebags. If you're a horrible person, you're good with me. Even if you end up being horrible to me, chances are I probably deserved it. Like, we need more sleazebags in wrestling, character-wise. Character-wise. I really want to emphasize that last point. But yeah, Joey Ryan is great. My favorite pig on payroll. You know, he's trying to, you know, to get the easy win. Because, of course, he can't be as bad a wrestler as Reyes. I mean, that would just be awful. And so yeah, like he does some great stuff. Cage, how many times am I gonna say? I keep talking about like wrestling wish lists, which by the way, I got another addition to that with this episode, and we're gonna talk about that a little later. Cage deserves to be Lucha Underground champion in season 4. I'm gonna keep making this case. Like I told you guys, now that I got my Mundo title run, I can start advocating for everybody I love in that temple. And I think two of the biggest people, if I'm truthful, are Son of Havoc and Cage. They're both amazing. They're both incredible. And Cage just lights the freaking world on fire here. Tejano even has some good power offense. You know, I look at Tejano, and honestly, I almost get like a JBL vibe where like he really does well in like that brawling power context and like not really much in the way of personality, although you know JBL as a character it was hit or miss. But you know like he had some moments here like he did a spine buster to Joey Ryan that I thought looked nice. He was kind of imposing his will on everybody that I thought was cool. And you know, but the finish though was crazy because Tejano gets his power bomb on Joey Ryan, but then Cage breaks up the pin, you know, kicking Tejano right in the face, grabs the bull rope, wraps like it around his fist. He clocks Tejano, and then with Tejano down and out, he steals the pin on Joey Ryan from Tejano's labor with the power bomb. So Cage advances, and it furthers the story between him and Tejano because they're still in the throes of this best of 5 series. That you know, like Tejano should have won that match by all rights, but Cage was able to sneak in and take advantage of all of Tejano's hard work. So yeah, I really like the narrative beats that this match checked off, and it was just a fun match all around. Where again, even Dr. Widener Jr., a guy who's in his freaking 50s, was really a highlight because he even did some great work. So yeah, great stuff all around.
Wagner is amazing.
He really is, dude. He really. And then when you see him without the mask, and you realize like he's this silver fox. Like Jesus Christ, man! I hope I'm looking that good and doing things as well as Wagner's doing them at his age. Like that's just impressive as hell to me. So yeah, I know you said you were kind of zoning out, so I'm guessing you really don't even have much to say about this.
No, man, I was, you know, I was kind of zoning it out, like you said. Um, I appreciated before the match even started that like Stryker felt the need to describe each of these guys with one word, and with Cage it was power or strength or something like. I think it was power. With Tejano it was brawling. I don't think he gave one for Joey Ryan because he said he would leave that up to Vamp, and Vamp never gave one. And then with Dr. Ryder Jr. it was technical. So
yeah, and I guess that fits. I'm surprised for Dr. Widener he didn't say experience, given that he is a legend and everything. But regardless, we go from that to Sexy Star and Dario Cueto cinematic. And, Dario's like, Sexy, I've always liked you, because like me, you've had a troubled past. And I can see that you were robbed of the Lucha Underground Championship by Worldwide Underground. And she cuts in and she says, dirty bastards. And he's like, right. And he said, so, I want to give you an opportunity. I want to give you PJ Black tonight, the only member of Worldwide Underground that you haven't faced yet.
The only one of those gringos.
Exactly, the only one of those gringos. And if you win, you'll get your rematch, and you won't even have to be in my Battle of the Bulls tournament. And I think, didn't he also say here that it was going to be like the stipulation? Because I know they ended up having a steel cage match, and I didn't know if like that was here or if that came later. But he did say like you will get your rematch, but if you lose, you won't be able to challenge for the Lucha Underground Championship. So it's a must-win situation for Sexy Star tonight against PJ Black. And I actually feel like Dario was really cool to Sexy here, right? Which is why it's kind of a head scratcher where it's like, oh, Dario, I know you may have escaped your troubled past, but if you're not careful, you could have a lot of problems in your future. And I'm like, Sexy, who are you to make threats when Dario pretty much just gave you? I mean, PJ Black is no slouch by any means, but you don't even have to enter the tournament. Like he's saying, you win this one match and you get your rematch. Like, Dario usually isn't that kind to people, even if it does come with the strings of, oh, if you lose, you can't challenge the Lucha Underground title. At least you'd still have a job, So, like, I don't know. I just felt like that was unnecessarily mean on Sexy Star's part. But what did you think about this cinematic?
Yeah, dude. It's so hard to watch old Sexy Star stuff knowing what she ended up being. But even this, like, it's still, even at this point, it felt like she was kind of clinging to relevance at this point, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like I don't know why you're trying to puff your chest out. Like, just go have your match, go win, if you can, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. And like don't be threatening. That's like the second time Dario was threatened in this episode. And like I know I shouldn't feel sympathetic because he's kind of a sleazebag, but again, I fucking love sleazebags, so of course I'm gonna be sympathetic. Like, don't be messing with Dario. Just let the man do his coke as peace. Oh damn.
Oh man. But then we got another cinematic, but this one was in the LAPD, and Officer Reyes, man, he's been found out, and he lets Vasquez know about it, tells her that Cueto called him a rat. And you know what she does?
Yeah, she's like, you got to go even deeper.
Yeah.
Go back, yeah.
And he's just like, how can I go back now? My cover's blown. It's just like, we have to go deeper. And yeah, when his arm finally heals, I guess he's going back to the temple as a whole new man. And we know that ends up being Veneno.
Yeah, Veneno, no fucking way that this is going to work.
Right, though?
But yeah, like, Vasquez is a very interesting character because she even said, like, I don't trust Officer Meehan. He's not like you. So she finally picks a side, too. And I think I had even complained, like, I wanted to see these two get on the same page. I felt like in some instances, Vasquez was being unfair to Reyes, which don't you ever make me defend Cortez Castro again. And, so seeing them on the same page was great. And then knowing that, him getting this mask and stuff. But you know what? Thinking about it, Ashton, in hindsight, because, hindsight's always 2020. I feel like Officer Reyes probably had one of the most underappreciated arcs this season. Because if you think about it, like, it really did have a great payoff in the end. Between him getting his arm broken, then having to go back, and then Veneno, like, that would have its own controversy. But then for it to all culminate in that 5-0 street fight, even if he didn't win, gift of the gods from winning that medallion, I just feel like it was such a great personal victory for the Reyes character. That, yeah, he actually had a really good arc this season, I think. I mean, what do you think? Am I talking nonsense or like?
No, it really was kind of a satisfying arc just because, he kind of started the season as, I mean, I don't want to say nobody because we did know that he was a police officer and stuff, but he kind of wasn't doing a lot. And then, you know, the biggest thing that he did was arresting Mr. Cisco, and causing him to get killed by Quito, which I know you loved. But yeah, man, he really wasn't doing much as far as like the title goes. And then it ended up that he ended up doing stuff just because Meehan freaking sold him out. So even though it's still a scumbag move that Meehan sold him out, he should still be thanking him for being relevant because of that.
I know, right? So yeah, this was a great cinematic. We know that he's going to go back. So we go from that to Sexy Star versus PJ Black. And really, the only kind of quote unquote note I have for this is that PJ Black's fantastic. I mean, really, the spot of the match is still when
Styles
Sexy Star
Clash.
goes for that Hurricane Rana and PJ rolls through and he hits her with the Styles Clash.
Yep.
Like, just an amazing sequence. Tries for the moonsault and misses. You know, they have a pretty decent back and forth. Then Jack Evans tries getting involved. Him and PJ have a miscue. Sexy's able to roll PJ up, kind of stack her weight on his, and gets the 3 count. So Sexy is going to get a rematch. The reason why I breezed through this match is, again, most Sexy Star matches, it's like, she struggles. She gets the quick pin, and it's whatever. But PJ looked fantastic. And this is another season that was very kind to him, and fortunately so, because he's a great talent. And I know you're a bigger PJ Black fan than I am. Do you have anything you want to chime in with?
Oh, shit, man, I don't think so. I really, the match itself, I didn't really have a lot to say about, other than you said that freaking Styles Clash was awesome. And then, you know what? The Styles Clash was great, but also I love that he immediately followed up with a freaking top rope lion salt. Like, oh, eat your heart out, Jericho. Because Jericho does it from the middle rope. He one-ups the originator.
Yeah, I'm one rope better than you. So great stuff from PJ. We move right along though to the Cobra Moon vignette. God, she got some great vignettes this season.
Reptile Tribe. I love it
For
so
life.
much.
Yes, Reptile Tribe is amazing. And Cobra Moon pretty much kind of gives a brief history of their tribe and said, you know, we lost it all because Drago turned on us. You know, he fought against us. And now we're going to get our power back by bringing him back into the fold, whether he wants to be or not. And she relays these instructions to Pindar and Vibora, who is just so goddamn impressive. And yeah, I love the aesthetic of these cinematics. Cobra Moon is such a great character performer. And again, I want to say I think her in-ring work is solid, but I think where she thrives is the character work. And there is nothing wrong with that. If anything, she's ahead of the curve, because in pro wrestling, if you got a character down, the rest kind of takes care of itself when you're really good. And I do think Cobra Moon, like, I adore this woman. I think she's great. So yeah, she did really well here. Is there anything you want to say about the cinematic?
Dude, I loved this cinematic. I actually what's it called? Transcribed? Is that the word when you type out something that someone says?
Yeah, transcribed. Yeah.
I transcribed this entire promo.
Wow, dude.
I loved it. I love this entire storyline, everything about it. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. It was definitely a high point for the season, for sure. Like, and I think it's going to be more of a high point in season 4, because I just have a feeling that this tribe is just going to gain more and more priority, as they should, because I feel like every cinematic they've kind of thrown Cobra Moon's way, she's knocked it out of the park. So great stuff from her.
And you know what? I got to give her props, because this is a woman that I believe, now, I obviously, if someone knows better than me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she is a Mexican native, born in Mexico. You know, first language is Spanish. Her English, not only is her English great, but she's damn close on the English accent too.
And I gotta say too, because I know we've talked about like accents that we find peculiar. I love her accent, man. Like I think it works. Like there's just something like commanding and forceful about the way her English comes off
Yeah,
as this character.
I just looked
And
it up.
yeah,
Her birthplace, Tijuana, Mexico.
damn, dude.
I thought so. That's what I thought. And yeah, man, there's not only is there something commanding about it, but I'll go ahead and say it. I think there's something iconic about the way she says queen.
Yeah, right. Dude, it's so good. I'm so happy for her. And I'm happy too. Like, again, we talk about tonal shifts, like what Angelico had this episode. The tonal shift they did with her, because the initial cinematics for the character, it almost seemed like that she was gonna be like, the Gotham equivalent of like Catwoman. But, you know, like, I'm this burglar, I like, do all this stuff, and it turned out to be so much better. So much better, like, this character kicks ass. Again, if I, parcel out in-ring work from character work, Cobra Moon, I think, is some of the best character work in the Temple, because I think it's gonna carry a lot of narrative weight in the future, and that really excites me. So, yeah, this is a great cinematic, and we go from that cinematic to, once again, Dario and Matanza together. Dario, this time, instead of giving like the immediate rematch with Mundo, says, "Oh, you know, I'm going to enter you in the Battle of the Bulls tournament because there's no bigger bull than you, right? Right, bud? You ready to do this?" And he's just like, "No." And again, like, I want Rey Mysterio. And Dario's like, fine, but like, I just feel like if you're going on this path, you seem like you're being very reckless. I would hate to see you get hurt. And then they have that tender moment where, Matanza reaches to the bars and he's stroking Dario's hair, which, they've done that before and it's always been like eerily sympathetic. But this time he slams Dario's face against the bars and he gets the key to let himself out. So we're like, holy shit, Matanza's gonna be loose. What do you think about this cinematic, man?
Oh man, like this is another one that just kind of the faux affection that Matanza shows in order to get what he wants is kind of makes you wonder just how sentient is this monster, you know?
Absolutely, dude. I kept saying over and over, and now I don't believe it so much anymore. So you could put that line in the L column along with every other one. But that it was like a Bobbity and Boo kind of thing where Matanza was going to turn on Cueto. I don't really believe that anymore given recent events, but it was still cool to see again this monster having his own desires, making his own decisions, which I think is a great twist because like, it's not this mindless drone and, Cueto's like purely the villain. Like, Matanza can be responsible for his own actions. And there's something horrifying about that because, well, who's going to bring that responsibility to him? I mean, look at him. So yeah, it's really cool that he took matters into his own hands. He liberated himself. And again, like you said, how sentient is this monster, which I think is the question to ask. So yeah, this is a great cinematic. And then we go to our main event, the final Battle of the Bulls round one matchup for the night. Marty the Moth versus El Dragon Azteca Jr. versus Mil Muertes versus the Mac. And I just want to say, and again, this is me saying it, not Ashton. I know, like, he's Ashton's boy here, but once again, Mil Muertes is brilliant. Like, I just love him imposing his will on everybody. And when I talked about how this episode had another thing I added to my wish list, I want a Marty the Moth Mil Muertes feud. Really, I want Marty to feud with both Mil and Matanza next season. And I know, given the length and everything, we're probably only going to be able to get one. And honestly, I think I would prefer a Mil Muertes feud simply because he's like one of the best workers in the temple, if not the best. Like, he makes everybody fucking look good. And the interaction that him and Marty had, where he hit Marty and Marty laughed and he asked for another one, I got goosebumps seeing those two like square off. And I'm really looking for Marty's stock to take off now that he's had his head shaved. I would just like it to be a season where maybe he focuses more on himself and like new play things. And I want to see him want to play with Matanza and Mil Muertes. And yeah, Mil is a beast. The Reaper's Trident he got on El Dragon Azteca Jr. was fucking gorgeous. We got to see El Dragon Azteca Satellite DDT. Like, everybody did their thing. This is a really fun match. Of course, the big moment of the match, Azteca gets a 450 on Mil Muertes, but then he scales the ropes again. You could tell like he's waiting for a spot. And then Matanza comes in. He power bombs Azteca onto Mil Muertes and pretty much lays him out. And then you can see that Marty's going to try and, pick the bones. Actually, before that, though, I'm forgetting, Dario came out with a bloody towel, which is still kind of comical if you think about it. And he's like, Matanza, my face. Matanza, come back. And he does. So after all of that craziness, because he also laid out Azteca with Wrath of the Gods when he tried for the Satellite DDT again like a noob, Marty tries to peg the bones. Mil Muertes is on the outside. He got hurt bad, I think, from the power bomb. So Katrina's trying to get him back in it. And Mac kicks Marty straight in the face. I remember on our live reactions too, this actually evoked some memories from me. When Marty went for the pin, I came out of my seat. I was exclaiming, Marty, Marty, because you know what a huge fucking fan I am of the dude. And Mac breaks it up. They have a bit of an interaction, but the Mac ultimately hits what Matt Stryker described as a cross-country stunner. And he ends up pinning Marty for the win. So the Mac wins his Battle of the Bulls match. And I like the Mac. I actually like the Mac quite a bit, but I was still kind of disheartened, like watching this back. Like, man, I wish it was Marty, you know, in that spot. So, what do you think about this main event, man?
Yeah, this main event I did pay more attention to, and it was fun as hell. This was just chaotic, and I love that we got, like, basically the match itself. I wouldn't call the whole match a finisher fest, but we got finishers kind of spread throughout the match. Like, we got an Azteca Junior satellite DDT weirdly early into this match, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Went after Mill, and then, like, even though everyone went after Mill, Mill still came out on top because he turned it into 3 one-on-one matches, at which point nobody stands a chance.
Yeah, because Mill wrecks face. Like, Mill kills everyone. So, and again, that's why I want him versus Marty as a feud in the future. Like, just Marty versus all the monsters. Bring all the monsters you've got, because that psychopath would look at it as the time of his life. And yeah, Matanza's bit of work was fantastic. Really, everything about this was great. And yeah, Matt gets the win. Now, if I'm correct here, there was no cinematic after this, right? Because I feel like this, I really shouldn't have had any problem. I think this was just Max celebrating, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
No, you are correct, yeah.
Thank fucking God for that. So yeah, Mac wins, and that's our episodes in the book. So again, a great batch of episodes. Again, I feel like we went closer to an hour this time simply because it was just 2 jam-packed episodes. Nothing more to say. Ashton, you can take us home.
All right, man. Wow. I'm surprised that we're already finished with this, but I feel like we spent a lot more time on episode 13 than 14 just because that gauntlet match was just so fun, right?
That gauntlet match was fantastic. And yeah, if anybody's got the itch to go rewatch it, I highly recommend you act on it because it's a brilliant, brilliant hour of television, really.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess we can get on out of here then. We have a bunch of information down in this description. If you are interested in watching previous seasons of Lucha Rewatch, we have playlists for those, as well as our playlists for season 3 live reactions and TWitWoW reviews. All that is in the description. Leave a like on the video. Let us know what you thought of these episodes in a comment. Subscribe to the channel, and when you do, click the bell to get notified whenever we go live or upload a video. Which, you know, it's rare, but it does happen on occasion. If we have an awesome moment during a live reaction that I feel like deserves its own video, that I'll upload as a clip then. If you would like to support us, you can do so by either checking out our merch at Teespring, which is also linked in the description, or supporting us on Patreon, which, again, we're trying to get up to that $120 community goal, guys. Trying to get up to that so we can do live reactions to progress. We were almost there. We had like 123 sitting in the Patreon for a little while, and then at the last minute it went down to like 107 or something like that, and so it didn't happen, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll be able to start live reacting to progress in 2018. Until then, though, you can follow us both on Twitter, check out our Facebook and subreddit to keep up with what's going on. Or if you do want to donate to help us reach that goal, $3 gets you into the TWitWoW Discord, which we are significantly much more active on than any other form of social media, and we are much more likely to see your messages on than any other form of social media. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I guess we will see you guys on, I think, next Wednesday, because I don't think we have anything in between now and then. But next Wednesday, we are also going to be getting an episode of NXT that airs on USA Network. So if that's good enough, we might decide to review it. We'll see. I know next Wednesday is the 4th week out of 4 that we would typically want to not review NXT, but it is going to be televised, and it may be a big enough deal that we might decide to review it. Does that sound good to you, brother?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
All right, man. All right, well, that's all we've got for you this week, ladies and gentlemen. So we will see you next Wednesday for Lucha Rewatch and a possible NXT review. But even if we don't review NXT, we will be doing a Clash of Champions preview predictions on that Friday, and then of course live reacting to it when it happens on Sunday the 17th. We will see you all next Wednesday, and remember to stay tuned.